think it was a year ago, when I decided to unsubscribe to basically everyone that I was subscribed to, save a couple, just because I was getting too much input for buying new stuff. So I tried to put a stop to that, and I just unsubbed every single one. One of the subscriptions that I stopped back then was Trex Space Station. I can remember him being one of the first channels that I actually subscribed to, just because of the name. A Trex Space Station. I couldn't. So the last couple of days, I've been seeing people's days. I think it's been weeks. I've been seeing videos popping up to his video responses to his question. He had 5 questions, and I want to answer them because I don't answer all of the questions, but these were good because these questions were about stuff that I've been thinking about, and so here goes. I'll do the questions. Is there any point to buying a current generation console? My thoughts on that. The last and the first ever current generation console that I got was the Wii U, which I got because of Mario Kart 8. So I bought the system for the game. And because I was so, there was so much hype about the game, and I saw so many of you playing that game that I wanted to get in on the action, and I looked for a very good deal, and I got one, and I got a couple of games, but it was Mario Kart 8 that did it for me. Also thinking about the other titles that may or may not come out for the system. So I did that, and then I played Mario Kart 8, and then, within a matter of weeks, the hype was gone. I don't see anyone playing that game now. I'm not on it all the time, so that sort of kills the need for getting a current gen console. Now, having one foot in the grave for the next console, the PS4, I thought this was an interesting question. Is there a point to getting it? No, because the games are expensive, and the only point for getting it is that everyone else is getting it, and why not? I mean, that's been the thinking, like forever. Since the first console, everyone is considering getting one because of peer pressure. Everybody's getting one, so I should get one as well. And it's basically always been my thinking to get a new console like 2 or 3 years in, so it's cheap, and all the games are secondhand and they're cheap. So that is the retro gaming gospel, if so no, there is no point, and still I'm getting one. I've looked at the only improvement that you get, basically, technically speaking. I mean, the other side is a social thing. Your friends have one, so you want to play games together on it. On my PS3, I've seen there's a couple of people that I used to see online, or I could have seen online, but they are not now because they've moved on to the next console. So you're basically out of touch, or you can't play games together, and that links in with another question. So there's a social aspect. Technically speaking, sure, the graphics are a lot better, but I played the Metal Gear Solid demo, the Zero's mission, the first 15 minutes of it, and the gameplay isn't that good, still fucking around with the camera angles and still glitches in the game. The gameplay hasn't improved much. The graphics have improved like a lot. You know, they're very enjoyable, and that is an important part of gaming as well. That it's realistic, and that the whole intro isn't like animated movie, or no, it's actually game engine that is doing so. It's being rendered real time. That is impressive, and that is a reason for me to get it. You know, I've seen gameplays by Dean Thompson of Far Cry 4. You know, amazing. The immersion is even deeper because of the realism. Now let's face it. So is there a point? No, not really, because all that realism and all that stuff is going to be there next year as well. But the social aspect is maybe one of the things. And just, you know, I want to have it. Greed. Greed is the reason. So is there a point? Nah, not really. You can't rationalize it. It's a feeling. And that's, you know, the thing with most of things in life. That you can try and reason something away, but it's not going to work if you don't take into account how you feel inside about something. So, what do you think of indie games? There's some good ones. You know, it's a platform for new developers to show what they can do, and it's, you know, usually you can tell that an indie game is not like a big studio production because of the length of the game, or the depth of the game, or the beauty of the graphics. I played indie games that are great. That are, I think can I call Journey an indie game? I don't know. I think I can. That is a game that really moved me. That was very beautiful, and it doesn't need $1 million production value to get a good game. So. Indie games, yeah, sure. Some of the games are really out there, you know, and aren't worth playing. But that's like you can see that as sort of an experiment, you know. Where else are we gonna get the really weird games or the really you know, game mechanics that no one else has the balls to try? That's what you have indie games for. So. But I have to say, I don't play many of them because the availability isn't always that good. You know, how do you find them? And are they capable of reproducing what they produced before? And how consistent are they? You know, is the next game going to be as good? You never know. It's sort of a gamble with indie games. Will there be any changes to your channel in 2015? I can hardly imagine. There's going to be changes in the sense that I'm not going to be buying as many games, so that will be a change. I won't be doing as many pickups. I will be doing more gameplays, and I feel that I have to gravitate towards the Commodore 64 because that is my real history. And the video pack, or you know, the Odyssey if you're from the States, or maybe even the Vectrex over here, but also maybe some PS3 games, because that's what I've been collecting for, and my collection goals list is predominantly PS3 games. So I'm gonna do. I wanted to do actual reviews. I know that. In your video, you said that you were thinking of doing some of the more scripted stuff. I like to think that I want to do that, but I know that I can't. I used to have notes and do scripted stuff, but my head doesn't want to do scripted stuff, so it won't work. But I've been thinking of doing, you know, a little bit more research into the games that I have on my list. So that I can actually learn something of the studios that made them, or the artists that made them, and see if I can find like a common thread in these games, that I like games that were made by a certain person or a certain studio. So I'm gonna try and do reviews that are a little bit more formal, in the sense that they, you know, go over the same subject. So who developed the game, who are the artists, what other games did they develop, and did I like them? That's changes. What's your opinion on selling games from your collection or downsizing? Now that's a very actual one, because I've stopped, and I'm in the process of stopping to buy games that I don't have on my list. So I made a list, I'm sticking by it, and I have stuck by it so far. And on the other hand, I look back at my collection and see some of the games that I've bought. I've been going over the list. I've been thinking of selling some of the games. I've actually been talking to some of you guys about selling some of the stuff. Just to put the money towards the PS4. That was my plan. But going over the games, going over my database, my list of games, there were titles in there that I thought, what is that? What kind of game is that? So, I sort of improved my ability to look at a stack of games that were in a thrift store or in some sort of marketplace, and just pick out the titles that were like noteworthy, that jumped out at me, and I would pick up those games. So and they're good titles, I'm pretty sure. But some of the titles I saw, what is that, and I bought that stuff. So that's the stuff that I want to sell. I'm going over my games, and if there are games in there that I thought, well, I really don't want this game, or I have no reason to own this game, then I'm going to sell it. So what's my opinion? I think that, for me at least, it is a stage of development that I'm going through. I've done the thing where I walk into a store and buy the stuff that is there because it's there, and I'm now at a point that I can say, I have a list of stuff that I want to get, and I don't want to get the rest. So and selling or downsizing is something that I see as sort of evolving into the next stage of my collecting. I don't know. Do you still play multiplayer games in person with friends? Yes, I do, but not as much as I'd like to. I like to play, I used to play LAN parties, Quake 2, deathmatch games, or Duke Nukem. That is an online form of gameplay that is much more fun than the online form that we're now used to. Just get together with a couple of friends, put your computers or your consoles or whatever in the same room, and play together. Interact with each other, and laugh, and pick on someone, and blow his ass sky high. That's the sort of fun that I like to have. Mark and I, we live close together, so we have that ability. I saw Novabug and Gashead Steve doing that with Street Fighter, I believe. That is fun, That is, I played, I don't have it here, the video pack game, the board game, video game with Mark. I actually said to him that I wanted to really dive into a game and try to see how far we could get in a single sitting, just together, sitting there. So that is for me, it's much easier to play games with someone else. If my wife liked to play video games, that would be great, but she doesn't. She doesn't care about video games. So my opinion is, it's ace. You got to do it. Now, those were the 5 questions. Thank you very much for the questions. I love them. They were. I'll answer this. That's. I like talking about stuff like that, especially if it touches on things that I'm thinking about, and I do think. I think a lot. I think too much. Another thing, I was watching Retro Liberty. I like Retro Liberty. The NES Pursuit. If you've not seen it, look it up. They do very well. They make they're like the Game Chasers, but they're in California, and they're fun to watch. You know, they just like everybody else. They don't do anything special, but you know, they're the way they edit their show and the way they, you know, the way they are, basically. They're nice guys. They're good guys, and they make a nice show, and they have been doing that for a long time. And tonight I watched their video where Aaron Stapish. I like the guy. But then he started asking for money. You know, he said, I put in a lot of effort in making these videos, blah, blah, blah. I make 3 videos a week. Please donate money so that I can keep making them. I thought he was joking. You know, I was watching the NES Pursuit show, and then it sort of came to a commercial break with Aaron in the picture and saying, you know, I make these videos with his smile and his charming personality, and I was asking for money so I can keep making the videos. And I actually went to his Patreon website, and it only said that, you know, they like making videos for the gamers and high quality stuff and that kind of thing. That was sort of a sales pitch that I'm going to keep doing what I already did, but please pay me for it. And I really thought it was a joke, but it wasn't. I had my finger on the unsubscribe button. I didn't, though. I mean, I like the show and I'm going to keep watching it, but I'm not going to donate. I don't see the difference between me sitting here. I mean, my show is not, you know, their quality, maybe. I don't have a show. I just sit here and talk. But they're basically filming the thing that they like to do anyway. I don't see where the money comes in. I don't get that. The Game Chasers, their idea is to make DVDs and sell those. Maybe that's an idea, Aaron, Ricky. Pretty sure you're not watching this, but I'd like to hear your thoughts. Comment, or maybe even do a video response. But comment at least, you know, what do you think? You do the thing you do, and you ask money for it. Is that okay? I don't know. I'm going to do some gameplays now. I'm going to play some Commodore 64 games. And I'll film them. I'll put them in another video. Bye!